Welcome to the Decode Podcast, Apex Expo IPC 2025, the Southeast Michigan edition, apparently, because we have my buddy Matt now from Europlacer. He lives 10 miles from me and right by my shop. And, he was in Jay's shop too, right? So we all know him very well. He's I call you the head printer guy over at Europlacer. I don't know if you want to talk about your role a little bit, what you do there, and as far as for Speedprint and Europlacer.
Yeah, absolutely. First, thank you guys for having me here. Super excited to be here and share some of the knowledge. And you are right, we do have a lot of electronics manufacturing in Michigan, so it's exciting to be a part of that. So, as you mentioned, my name is Matt Argyris, and I'm our Senior Applications Engineer with Europlacer. And specifically, I handle everything to do with the printers. So I do everything from installation, service, and of course, helping you guys get the most out of your equipment, in addition to helping future customers get the most out of theirs. So it's a very exciting position to be in.
So our theme kind of is going to be about processes and solutions, for example. And I just got my new automatic prints, right?
Yeah.
Pins, automatic pins.
Yep.
We actually had to flip the way that it worked because the sensor would trigger them to go down and instead of up. And so then we flipped it, and then the controller literally blew up. And so we had to then take it apart, and I have an EE on staff. And so then my EE Jimmy rigged this thing to where you basically use a light switch like you have for your house, and there's a up and then there's a down, and then there's the automatic mode that you can click it in. So it works, right?
Yeah.
So if the next time you're in my printer and you see this light switch underneath, that's
so you're literally talking about a light switch.
Yes.
Okay.
Literally.
Right. I misunderstood that
and
first.
there's two of them, right? So there's automatic and manual mode.
Okay.
Right? So
All right.
it's working. It works great. But I did have one job. It was really weird. I wish I could show you the picture of it. It's like a pretty big board like this, but we had 4 cutouts in it, right? So there was like a divot, but it was weird because on like the 3rd PCB, 4th PCB towards the top, but it still had like this much clearance to go in it, up on here. It was bowing down in there for some reason. Do you think that was pins, or is there something I could do with maybe I could up my pressure or decrease my pressure or speed? What do you think maybe a print parameter I could change?
Yeah, it would probably be a little bit difficult to tell without being on site and seeing it firsthand. But yeah, you are right. I usually start at the simple things first. Check your support and make sure you have adequate support. Make sure your rails are parallel, the board's being clamped right, it's transferring in properly. So it's usually the simple things first, and then we kind of start working on to some of the more difficult stuff. And it sounds like with that automatic tooling solution, you also got a little bit taste of the field service world and how when you're out somewhere maybe and you have to figure out some of these things and do it on a time crunch. So, it's one of the most rewarding parts of the job when you get it right, but also one of the most challenging when you have to go somewhere and help do that. So, there are, as you guys know, an infinity amount of parameters that can go into getting you guys a good print or not. And when your process is really on the edge, it does matter. So that's why I think when I go into a customer and I work and I do training, that I'll always try to build a process in. So no matter who is there and their skill level, we always get the same end result, whether the operator's been there for 2 weeks or 2 years. And I think that helps with you guys. When you guys program a job and you follow all of these best practices, then all of these little things add up to a good print time and time again. So then when something isn't correct, maybe the stencil wasn't cut right. I know that
happens all the time.
Why
you gotta
go there? No, but then it doesn't matter as much, right? It just works. Yeah. So it makes those easier ones to
I would have paid for him to say that. Thank you for doing it for free.
What do you see as the biggest mistake or the most common mistake that folks are making at the screen printer?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think that the biggest mistake that people make is their attitude towards something, and that they think that they know everything and they don't slow down enough and try to learn from everyone around them. And to me, now in 2025 and with all the resources available, it is really important to just slow down and take things step by step. So whether that means reach out to your local applications engineer or you go onto the SMTA website, but yeah, to take a moment and to say, hey, I actually maybe don't know what I'm doing, and it's okay to reach out for help and to get guidance and learn. because the big thing that I see is I go into shops, and not that all the customers are isolated, but some customers have bigger resources than other customers. And so the ones that do, and they invest in their employees and they take the time to train and have mentorship programs, those are the companies that consistently build the best boards. Maybe compared to a shop that just has, people with a lot of turnover and that knowledge isn't passed on, and the only setting they know is, increase the pressure, and, increase the pressure. And then I go out there and they're putting squeegee blades through the stencil. I said, okay, that's too much pressure.
Yeah, maybe at that point.
Let's back it down a little bit. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, it generally comes back usually to the setup. Simple stuff. The rail width's too wide. Your squeegee blades are damaged. Your tooling's not set up right. You have components that are underneath the rails, and it creates a little standoff.
Sure.
So, and I think all of that goes back to the original statement, and that if you do everything right from the beginning, then some of these processes that are on the edge won't matter as much. But if your job is already on the edge, and then you introduce no tooling, well, then you're going to have a bad time, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
If there's anything Sean's known for, it's proper board support. So
Yeah, he's a big advocate of it.
huge.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned squeegees, though. I think that's something that a lot of folks overlook, anecdotally at least. I've seen that.
I know I have before, for sure.
Yeah, I think
Optimizing squeegee blade size for the
or
for
just
the assembly you're
maintaining
doing, or...
them and replacing them at some interval.
Okay, sure.
I think there's a lot of shops that have squeegees that look like they went through Fallujah, and
Yeah.
Well, who was it? Somebody was telling us about a tracking system they use on their squeegee blades and their stencils and everything. They actually monitor every single use case of all their equipment like that, and they've learned what their mean time to failure is and all that kind of stuff. And kind of similar to the same way you set up your under stencil cleaning, you figure out how long it goes till it starts making a mistake, and you make sure you stay on the good side of that.
Right.
If you just do that with your stencil blades too.
Well, I can say for me
Squeegee blades.
personally, when I see those options inside the machine, right? Speed, pressure, and I have no clue which is going to do which, I'm scared to touch it.
sure.
I'm scared to touch it. Whether
But you have people that have that clue, right?
now I do.
Yeah.
I didn't have literally a month ago. You know what I'm saying?
But that's what we need to be doing, though. Like instead of, in my opinion anyway, instead of just sticking with here's our good recipe, and you just trust that that's always going to work right. We should be learning when are the times that a faster speed would help, or when should you add more pressure or decrease it, or when, I don't know, there's a lot of different techniques you can use, and it just seems like overall you'd gain a better understanding of all of your products if you did
Take
experiment
the time.
and see what does what.
I mean, you're absolutely right. To go back to your original statement about lifetime counters, is that we have our printer, of course, and then a ton of other printers use these counters, whether it be passive RFID tracking or a label that you scan on your stencil. I'm sure you have customers that put that
QRs
barcode,
now.
QR code them. Yeah. And so if you have 6 printers and then they're hooked up to a server, and so each time you run this stencil or scan these squeegee blades in, then across all of your printers, it will track it. And you start to find out that, hey, after 10,000 prints at this pressure, our blades start to wear out and we're not getting as good shearing on it anymore. And you can actually see these defects on an SPI machine. So, these are the things that really start to become fun, and you start to look at and you can quantify some of this stuff.
Sure.
Whereas before, maybe you're printing in the dark and you have no idea what you're doing or what it does. And I think to your point, Sean, I started in the industry 10 years ago at a company in Southeast Michigan, and the mentors that I had there not because they didn't want to, but they just didn't know as much. And so I joined another company, and they did have the resources, and I was trained, and we brought people in like myself to say, hey, if you adjust this parameter, this is what it does. And I started to get a little more comfortable with it, but I was still like yourself. I said, well, I don't, these are production boards.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. But I think just as time goes on and you start to adjust the parameters a little bit more, you start to build that confidence, and you say, okay, I need to lessen the pressure here. I need to increase the print speed, or these sort of things, and you can actually get a good end result. And then it becomes second nature.
Yeah.
And of course, you have the manufacturer data sheets to lean on too, right? You can go on the pace sheet and you can say, hey,
dude, the variance in them that
they give you
5 to 200, right?
Yeah, yep.
I'm like, okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
So obviously, just pick the right one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think they do that to protect themselves a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
And I know maybe our conditions up in Michigan are going to be different than someone in New Mexico or on the West Coast where maybe it's a little drier out.
Ours will be better.
Oh, of course, yeah. That's why there's so many companies in Michigan.
He actually got to try Better Made for the first time.
Some Better Made potato chips.
Yeah, this guy sent me a lifetime supply essentially. And
okay, all right.
Yeah,
So
I enjoyed it, and also a chocolate covered Better Made.
I saw those in the store recently.
That's phenomenal.
All right,
sounded weird, but it did work.
So good.
Well, this has been our local Michigan episode. So, Matt, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah,
this
of
was
course,
a lot
guys.
of fun, like always.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, and looking forward to doing it again with you. So maybe not the spontaneous call at 10 o'clock at night.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. No,
Did that episode air? Did we air that
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
I think it was the most viewed
Yeah,
in history.
for
At
sure.
least,
Yeah, that's
Absolutely,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't jive him, Sean.
But
Sweet.
thank you for answering. Like, that's what I love about him too, is I will text him at any time of the day.
Yeah.
And as long as literally he has cell service, he's usually responding.
Yeah,
so
that's
Try to
great.
be. Or if if I'm not, then I'll get back to you. Or I'll say, hey, call them. But
yeah.
Well, I mean, you're a business owner. You work hard. I mean, it's not crazy to think that you're there at 10 at night printing boards for one of your customers because one of your guys is out. Or it's
That's
just
just
what
if
you
the
do.
baby's crying.
I gotta go. No, he's gotta. You gotta support him and get it done. And at the end of the day, my job's to support you and our customers and help everyone out. So if that means I gotta take a phone call late at night, gladly do it.
Gotcha.
So,
I can speak to that. It's been super helpful.
thank you guys.
Awesome.
I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for joining us.
Thanks,
Always. Yeah. Good luck, guys. Glad to
Bye.
be a part of it.
Awesome. Have a great show.
Yep. You too.